have you been following this scandal around the Prime Minister of Finland?
Sort of.
Okay, so her name is, I'm going to butcher this, but Sanna Marin.
Yes.
And she's a 36-year-old woman.
Mm-hmm.
Many are saying she's very attractive.
I'm sure you wouldn't notice anything like that.
And never. I didn't even know she was a woman. I had no idea. And so she went out partying. And again, this is while she's prime minister. She went out partying, and there were, pictures of her, and she was dancing, and they were having fun. So, guys, go ahead and throw that graphic up on the screen there so we can show everybody. Now, on the right here is Sanna Marin, and on the left you see Hillary Clinton came out in support of Sanna Marin, and this is her from when she was Secretary of State. Hillary's dancing there. You can see her, taking a nice gulp of a beer there as well. And, in the Sanna Marin video, there's a video of it. It's not that long. Dancing, really going in. Very college frat party vibes.
Letting go.
Just letting loose.
Yeah.
Exactly. So a little bit of a scandal around that. Sort of divided people in Finland, and the conversation I saw on it was mixed. But the general argument, at least from the media, seems to be like, look, we're holding women to a different standard here because, okay, yeah, she's the prime minister, but what, you can never party, you can never have fun, you can never sort of let loose, you can never, be sexy. That seems to be the general thrust of it. And the argument is, well, a man in a similar situation just wouldn't get the same kind of scrutiny. People would just overlook it. And, if there was a video of Obama partying when he was president, people would be like, oh, that's so cool. Or, some other relatively similar figure in that situation.
You think they would think that was cool? I think Obama
I do. I think that if Obama did it, it would turn into like a meme and
I think it'd be divisive, divided the way that this is
well,
too.
No, I think just the right would attack Obama over it, but it'd be very ginned up and fake.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, this might be too. I don't know. But I mean, okay, so actually there's a lot to say about this, even though the most important thing for me to say is that I don't care that much or think it's that important. But I think the issues with it are very interesting. So first of all, as a woman who, as a young woman running for office, had a whole fake scandal over photos of me partying.
So tame. When you look back now, it's like, really, this was a scandal?
So I would be a hypocrite if I was outraged at, oh my God, how can you have photos of this woman and this is inappropriate? Oh my dear God, how could you? So that's number one.
Hold on. The picture was from when you were running. It was from before you were even in office.
Yeah, so it is a little bit
totally different.
It is a little bit different. Okay, so, but I do want to say, in general, I'm not clutching my pearls over this or outraged by it or think this is some national disgrace or shame or whatever. I think I disagree with you about whether this would be a thing if it was a male politician. I think if Biden...
Well, I'm saying the argument people are making. I didn't necessarily co-sign that.
Okay, I thought you were co-signing. Okay, so I think if in our American political context, I think if Biden, if there was videos of him seeming like they were trying to make it like she was on drugs. Apparently she wasn't on drugs. But if he was going crazy and drinking and getting wild till all hours, and I guess there were some topless photos or something in an official residence or whatever that came out too, not of her, but of some of her guests. If that came out, especially at a time when, it's very serious times in the country, very serious times in the world. And I don't know specifically the domestic political context in Finland, but I'm sure they're facing inflation and high energy prices and a lot of the same struggles that we're facing here as well. I think that the right would try to make hay out of that. And I think they would be pretty successful because they'd say, look, he's distracted from his job. He's not taking this seriously. And this is a serious moment for the country. And this is a serious moment for the world. So I don't think it's only sexism. The Hillary Clinton and a lot of media figures want to make this it's only sexism that she's being treated this way. However, I do think that the two things overlap. I do think that there's a discomfort with the fact that she's this young, attractive woman, looking and being sexy and being sort of wild and free in this way. There's a discomfort with this isn't the way our leaders have historically looked and behaved. There's a discomfort with powerful women also still maintaining a sex appeal. They're supposed to be just sort of neutral, sexless beings in a lot of respects. So I do think that there's a discomfort there that turns this into a bit of a lightning rod controversy. What I read about how it's being perceived in Finland, there's a real generational divide, which makes a lot of sense. Older people are more sort of this is an institution and you show respect and there's a way we do things and there's decorum and all of these things that they're more attached to. Young people are like, this is great because I relate to her and like this makes me feel like maybe I could be in government and, you know, I actually affirmatively like this. One thing that did change my feeling about it a little bit is because I didn't really know anything about Sanna Marin. She came into office very much like very upfront about, I'm going to continue to be like a normal person in office. And she has like a trademark leather jacket that she wears and like famously went to rock concerts and stuff like that.
She was elected at 34.
So I also sort of feel like she was kind of upfront with the population when she was running of like, this is who I am and this is who I'm going to be. And she still ends up in the position. So that also did kind of like shape how I viewed this too.
She was elected at 34. That's very young. Now,
young.
I was going to say some mildly critical things, but I just Wikipedia'd her, and she's apparently a member of the Social Democratic Party of Finland.
Yeah,
so now I have nothing but positive things to say about her because social democracy is based. Anyway, no, but okay, for real. So here was my thinking on this. The initial reaction, of course, is a reaction to the reactionaries where I'm like, who cares? Get the fuck over it. Like,
exactly.
That's the initial, that's the initial. As long as you're still like doing your work and doing well and pushing for the proper policies, I don't care, right?
Yeah.
But then I just stop and think about it and to just play devil's advocate for a second. And part of me does think this. Like I was thinking, if I was president, what would I be doing? There is no world in which I'm president and I'm doing what she was doing. None.
Right.
Because when there's so much shit on the menu for you to take care of that you are like directly responsible for. Granted, if she's prime minister, I would be president in the context of the United States of America. Mm-hmm. And, she probably has, relatively speaking, a little fewer responsibilities than Joe Biden does, right?
Yeah.
But still a decent amount of responsibilities. And, I actually want somebody who's like a flat out workaholic and totally obsessively dedicated with a one-track mind to doing the job that needs to be done in office.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing is, you have to be consistent. If that's the stance you're going to take, then whether it's Sanna Marin, whether if it was Bernie Sanders and Bernie Sanders was caught partying, LOL, by the way, right? Hilarious.
That would people would love
We're
that.
over here listening to the Beatles, and it is wonderful. I want to hold your hand.
See, we would all love that.
Yeah,
maybe it is sexism.
But see, I was just about to make that point too, because my thought was if Biden was caught doing it, I'd probably be like, ha ha, look at this, right? But she did it, and a part of me was like, just go do some work type shit, right? So now I don't think that's from a gender bias as much as it's from Biden just came off of getting the CHIPS Act passed, just came off of getting the IRA passed with a 15% corporate minimum tax rate, funded Obamacare.
I think it's also,
like he's been on the warpath recently.
The reason it'd be hilarious with Biden or Bernie is because it's so against type, right?
Right,
So that's part of why it's hilarious with the two of them. Versus, so it's not necessarily like a gendered reaction, although I don't think we should discount the fact that that's a piece of it potentially too.
Yeah, well, anyway, I was trying to examine my own bias here in a sense, because I did feel like if I saw a video of Biden doing it, I'd just kind of laugh.
Yeah.
But
what did you think? Do you remember, because I vaguely remember when those Hillary Clinton photos came out.
I don't remember that at all. No.
I do, and the right kind of made a thing of it, and, I remember at the time being like, like, who cares?
But see, okay, right, that's my dominant sentiment too, but there is a part of me that also thinks like, no, I actually do want the people who are Secretary of State in the U.S. or President of the U.S. or Prime Minister of Finland or whatever. Why aren't you people obsessed with your job where that other stuff just doesn't happen? Where you're working like 14-hour days, 15-hour days, where that's your one-track mind type shit.
But with Hillary Clinton, the problem with her wasn't her lack of, like, hard work. You know what I mean? Like, that was not
It was her ideology, right?
For me, it's her ideology and her corruption. That's my concern with her. So when I saw her, like, drinking a beer and dancing, that didn't strike it like a core concern of, like, oh, why aren't you working harder? No, maybe it'd be better if you worked less hard.
Yeah.
And we're less involved.
And it is kind of like the argument that both sides make when the president of the opposing party goes on vacation, where they're like, there they are on vacation again. And I always look at that and think, but hold on, if you're the GOP Twitter account, don't you want Biden to not be in office and not make policy decisions? Wouldn't you rather him be in Delaware 24/7? And vice versa with Trump. When he used to go golfing, oh my God, he's golfing again. It's like, don't you want that?
Well, part of why I discount a bit that this is an entirely gendered reaction is because those sort of attacks. I mean, they used to attack Obama all the time for playing golf. Like, that was a relentless right-wing attack on Obama, was like going out and playing golf. They're doing that now with Biden in terms of his visits to Delaware. Actually, Rick Scott hilariously was caught like tweeting out like, "Oh, Biden's in Delaware again," while he was literally on the deck of a super yacht in Italy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, which is kind of amazing. But I mean, I agree with you that there is something to seeing those photos, especially at a time of, national difficulties, national crisis, like food prices, energy prices escalating, people struggling, to then see your elites out like partying in this very carefree way. There is something about that is grating outside of the gendered aspect. Now, I had that reaction too. What did kind of change my mind though was the fact that she really sort of was like upfront about this when she was campaigning. Like, I'm going to keep partying. I'm going to keep being me. I'm going to wear my leather jacket. I'm going to go to my rock festivals. Like, this is who I am. This is part of what I'm bringing to office. And people were like, okay, we accept that.
And also, being a member of the Social Democratic Party, I'm inclined to probably agree with most of her politics. And so that makes me want to go softer on her. But at the same time, that should make me want to go harder on her, because I should be like, why aren't you in office doing more social democracy stuff?
True. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
anyway.
Or like hold her to a higher standard, or like, don't fuck this up.
Yeah. Hillary, of course, had to make it cringe by coming in with like the over-the-top support.
Yeah. I also was wondering if my reaction was influenced by Hillary taking her side. That made me want to err more on the side of like, well, maybe these conservatives have a point.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, honestly, I don't even know who it was that was criticizing her. I just saw the whole scandal, saw a bunch of articles, saw a bunch of headlines, and was like, oh, people are talking about this a lot.
That is a good question of, who was criticizing her? Because, I mean, I know that there was a domestic internal backlash over the photos.
Yeah.
I mean, she tearfully responded and was like, I'm just a human being. Sometimes I have to like have joy and fun in my life too.
This is so quaint compared to U.S. politics.
Totally.
Like, look at what's going on in the U.S. right now.
Totally.
Trump's like, how about we try fascism? I'll lead us.
Right.
And she's like, sorry, I'm so sorry. I was dancing.
Is that
a Finnish accent? Did I just do a Finnish accent?
I literally do not know.
Top of the morning, Tay. I'm so sorry I was dancing.
But then to get back to like the gender part, I do think part of why this becomes this like global scandal conversation is because she's a young, attractive woman. And that's just like unusual to have as a head of state.
Well, to be fair, Boris Johnson, he got caught with his parties, and that became a big scandal.
Yeah, but that was
COVID
during
related.
COVID.
It was COVID related.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was directly because they were supposed to be in lockdown, and he and his people were like having wild parties every week, and then consistently, and that wasn't even the biggest problem. Then he kept lying about it and getting caught. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, obviously his parties became an issue. I don't actually really think they would have in and of themselves, just because Boris Johnson's another one of these characters that I think people would have kind of expected that out of his,
funny that like
quote unquote leadership.
World leaders are acting exactly like the kids who are going to college and are not allowed to party, but they go out and party anyway.
Yeah.
Like our world leaders are exactly the same. You know, they're like, let's do some kickstands, bro.
Yeah.
You know? It's crazy. Anyway, so those are our thoughts on it. As you could tell, I've thought about it from both perspectives, and ultimately I do fall more on the side of like, whatever. Who cares? But there is still a part of me that's like, I know if I was in that position, I just wouldn't be partying that much.
But also, I mean...
But that's also kind of bullshit from me too, because it's not like I wouldn't play golf still.
You would play golf still.
I'd play golf.
Well, and I guess that's the thing, is like, this is how she
right.
unwinds.
This is how she unwinds.
This is her thing.
Yeah,
like,
true.
We aren't president and we don't go out. So, of course, if we were president, we wouldn't go out, because that's not what we do to unwind. That's not our outlet.
Yeah.
But for her... it is. And again, she was very upfront about that when she was running. It's not like it was a secret. Yeah. So my overall thought is who really cares? And my secondary thought is also who really cares.
Fair enough. If you want to see me and Krystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Krystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.